questions. Question orale. Honorable.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. It's with sadness that we express our love for the family of Constable Yang.
I'll express our love and support for Constable Yang's family. She was sadly murdered while she was courageously doing her job. This has to stop. This is one of a series of murders of our police officers as part of a larger violent crime wave. What changes will the Prime Minister make to policies to put this crime wave to an end?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Heart goes out to the family of Constable Yang, to the community, not just in BC, but right across the country, where we know we've seen murdered police officers in Ontario and elsewhere across the country as well. We need to do more to step up on our mental health funding, as the honourable member before mentioned. We need to make sure we are giving our frontline police officers the tools to be supported as they encounter difficult situations. We need to make sure that they are not the only mental health workers out there accessible to so many people, but unfortunately they have been extraordinary at it, but we need to provide better support. Provinces and the federal government need to work together to fund more mental health supports.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians are also suffering with the skyrocketing increases in the price of food. Today we learned food prices are up 11%, 17% for bread. Pasta is up 23%, lettuce 21%, flour 24%. The Prime Minister's solution, of course, is to raise taxes on food with a carbon tax hike that will triple the tax on the cost of transporting and producing food in the first place. Will he reverse this tax hike so Canadians can put food on the table?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on the contrary, our solution to support families is to move forward with a GST rebate that's going to hit 11 million households. It just received royal assent last night because all parties supported. The Conservatives actually reversed their initial opposition to our proposal in order to support it, and that was a good thing. But now, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives have an opportunity to continue to help families that need it with dental care for kids who can't access it right now, right across the country, and with direct help for low-income renters. Will the Conservative leader reverse this position and support low-income and families that need it?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Unfortunately, the Prime Minister is proposing to do exactly nothing for the vast majority of struggling families who will get nothing, and even those small minority who do will find it gobbled up by increased inflation. That's right. The Royal Bank says that the average family will pay $3,000 more in inflation and higher interest rates. These are the results of the $500 billion of inflationary deficits that are driving up the cost of the goods we buy and the interest we pay. And now he wants to triple the tax on food. Canadians are paying enough to put food on the table. Will the Prime Minister let up and get off their backs?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if the Leader of the Official Opposition wants to help Canadians, why is he not stepping up to help Canadian families give dental care to their kids? We're talking about $1,300 over the next 2 years to support families that need it across the country, and we're talking about direct support to low-income renters. This is money that can make a huge difference in Canadians' lives, but the reality is not only do they not support it, they're trying to do everything they can to block it and even kill our support for these families.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The vast majority of Canadians aren't admissible to this sum, and even those who will receive it will see it disappear because inflation will cost $3,000 more to the average household family here in Canada next week, according to the Royal Bank of Canada. Canadians cannot pay anymore, but the Prime Minister just wants to add to the burden. Will he cancel his plans to continue with these deficits and these inflationist taxes? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. I'm trying to understand the Leader of the Opposition's logic, who says that inflation is so high, that costs are so high, that it's completely useless to do anything. Quite the contrary, Mr. Speaker. We are here to help people concretely and tangibly with assistance with the GST credit. We are here to help families who have children who are under 12 who cannot afford dental care. And we are here to help renters, low-income renters, with their rent this fall. Why are they not here to help these families? All we see are excuses. We want them to support us in our measures to help Canadians. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Have gone up most in price are those that we can produce right here in Canada. Bread, pasta, flour. We grow wheat in this country. We should be able to deliver it to people's kitchen tables affordably. But the Prime Minister wants to raise taxes on the people who do the growing of our food and the delivering of it to our grocery stores. Even the Governor of the Bank of Canada says that inflation in Canada increasingly reflects what's happening in Canada. This is homegrown Liberal inflation. Why doesn't the Prime Minister stop raising the prices on Canadians so that they can put food on the table?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let us be very, very clear. Our price on pollution puts more money back in the pockets of Canadians while ensuring they breathe cleaner air. With checks issued in June and just last Friday, a family of 4 in the opposition leader's riding has already received over $550 from our government in climate rebates this year. This means more money for Canadians. While the Conservative leader doesn't believe that climate change is a problem, we're moving forward with practical, affordable solutions to support families, grow the economy, and fight climate change at the same time.
The Honourable Member for Baylor-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, $28 million in contracts granted to a friend of the Liberal Party. They claim that it's because the lands are close to Roxham Road already. But what we have found out is that this is simply not true. Instead of giving taxpayer money to Liberal buddies, why can't the Prime Minister find a way to decently welcome asylum seekers at regular stations by qualified individuals? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we make sure every day that our asylum system remains robust and humane. There is no magic solution, but we'll continue to be here for people to make sure that our values are reflected in our immigration systems. It is clear that we must continue to work on the question itself, including with the United States of America, to have a sustainable solution, and we will continue to be here to represent our values and welcome people in a responsible way. The Honourable Member for Baylor-Chambly. Not too long ago, the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister were consulting each other before putting forward their position. And so they wanted to bring labour through Roxham Road, apparently. Cheap labour. If the government has a concern for labour, then there are already people who would like to come to Canada, discriminated African Francophone students. Why is that the case? Mr. Speaker, we have zero tolerance for racism and discrimination in any form, including systemic discrimination. We are looking at the impacts of our policies and programs on racialized clients to ensure that they are just and fair for all those who wish to come study in Canada. The department has to implement immigration policy and laws without discrimination, and I know that the Minister is working on the file. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
All New Democrats, I want to express our condolences to the friends, family, and colleagues of Constable Yang and the horrific killing that was experienced in Burnaby.
New inflation data published today clearly shows that the cost of groceries just keeps rising. It is very difficult for families. It creates massive challenges for workers. It's clear that the Liberals and the Conservatives have done absolutely nothing to tackle this inflation. When will the Prime Minister act to help families? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in the weeks to come, 11 million Canadian households will receive the GST tax credit that will greatly help them, almost $500 for a number of families. Money for 11 million households. This is a huge difference. Conservatives have changed their ideas, and now they're going to be supporting our solutions. We hope that we will be able to help people now with their dental care and rental assistance, and we will ask all parties in this House to join us in accelerating these deliverables for Canadians who need it. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
The new inflation numbers are deeply troubling. We see the cost of food continue to rise. It's hit a record 11.4%. We know that the Liberals and the Conservatives don't have the courage to take on greedflation, but we do. We forced everyone in this House to support our motion to tackle greedflation. We know that the PR stunt from Galen Weston isn't good enough. Will the Prime Minister implement our solutions to support families now?
Hear, hear. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we know Canadians are struggling with the rising cost of living, which is why when we came back to the House this fall, we brought in immediately measures to double the GST credit over 6 months for close to 11 million households. And that was something that fortunately all members of this House supported, including the Conservatives who reversed their earlier objection to our proposal and then supported it. Now we need all parliamentarians to come together and make sure that we're supporting families who need to pay for dental care for kids under 12 and move forward on direct support for low-income renters. All parliamentarians can stand together and do it.
The Honourable Member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's failed policies and direct attack on our responsible energy sector has caused higher prices and a cost of living crisis in this country. Groceries went up another 11.4%, gas is up 13.2%, utilities up 12.8%. Out of control spending, cancelled and blocked energy projects in Canada, and this Prime Minister's carbon tax is causing unjust inflation. Will this Prime Minister stop punishing Canadians and cancel his plans to triple the tax on groceries, gas, and home heating?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we know Canadians are struggling with this global inflation crisis caused by the end of the pandemic, by the stresses on supply chains, by the illegal invasion by Russia of Ukraine.
I'm just going to interrupt the Right Honourable Prime Minister for a moment. We started off really well, and now it just seems to be sliding. I just want to remind everyone that there's questions being asked, and they're being heckled too, and then the Prime Minister or whoever's answering. So I just want to remind everyone, please try to have some respect for each other. The Right Honourable Prime Minister, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's why we're moving forward on direct supports for families. We know that even though the Leader of the Opposition came out in opposition to our GST credit for Canadians when we first announced it, it was members of his caucus who told him that no, they would support it, and eventually they reversed their position. Will now members of his caucus tell him they should support dental and rental supports?
The Honourable Member for Calgary, Forest Lawn.
The reality is Canada is falling apart under this Prime Minister and more unaffordable than ever. Average rent in Canada is now over $24,000 a year. $500 rent checks won't even pay for 1 week of rent right now. And because this Prime Minister doesn't think about monetary policy, it has never been more unaffordable to buy a home in Canada. Massive rate hikes have pushed homeownership costs to 60% of median household income. Will the Prime Minister take responsibility for his unjust inflation and cancel his plans to triple the carbon tax on groceries, gas, and home heating?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm having a hard time understanding the logic that the Conservative Party seems to be putting forward today. They seem to be saying because our help for low-income renters is only $500 that we're proposing, they might as well get nothing. Well, I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, maybe Conservatives don't know this, but $500 to low-income renters will make a huge difference for an awful lot of people as the winter approaches. That's why we're there to support Canadians who need it. It is inexplicable to me that the Conservative Party continues to stand against delivering $500 checks to families that need it to pay the rent before Christmas.
The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Mr. Speaker, a few facts for the Prime Minister. 100% of Canadians will have suffered the consequences of inflation. 80% of Canadians are worried about their finances due to the rising cost of living. 72% of Canadians feel that they pay too much tax. The cost of food alone has risen by 11%, the largest increase since 1981. The Liberals' inaction has led to an ever-increasing inflation at nearly 7%. Mr. Speaker, why does the Prime Minister want to make people's lives even harder by taking more money out of the paychecks of all Canadians on January 1st? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I completely agree that Canadians are facing difficult times. That is the reason for which we have proposed direct assistance to families and low-income renters, to families with children under the age of 12 who cannot pay for dental care for their children. What is inexplainable is that the Conservative Party decided that it would not support these measures that Canadians really need, measures here to help people. Why are the Conservatives refusing to help Canadians who need help today? We are here to do so. Why are they not? The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Because no one believes his Prime Minister anymore, Mr. Speaker. That is the reality of the matter. He's lost all credibility with regards to public financing. Mario Dumont reminded us this morning that the Prime Minister made a promise in the first speech from the throne. Interest rates will stay low forever, Mr. Speaker. Today, young families are at risk of losing everything because of rising interest rates and the Prime Minister's incapacity to manage public finance. Will he renounce on raising taxes on paychecks on January 1st? Yes or no? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we have here is a complete disconnect in the Conservatives' approach with regard to the economy. We have been here to help families who need it during the pandemic, and the Conservatives, despite Conservative objections, we've been able to help millions of families. Mr. Speaker, guess what? The economy has come back in strength since the pandemic. We continue to do so, and that's what we're proposing to help families with the cost of living, with assistance for low-income renters, assistance for dental care, and the Conservatives are once again trying to block these families from receiving aid. We don't understand their economic approach. We on our side will be here for Canadians.
Haldeman, Norfolk.
The current cost of living crisis is caused by this government's reckless and irresponsible spending. Canadians cannot afford basic necessities anymore. I recently received emails from people from all over the country telling me that for the first time ever, they could not afford to buy a turkey, and even some food items for Thanksgiving dinner. Canadians are suffering, Mr. Speaker. Will this Prime Minister show some compassion on Canadians that are struggling and cancel his plans to triple taxes on gas, home heating, and groceries?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The supposed preoccupation of Conservatives with the cost of living would be slightly more believable if it wasn't for the fact that they are standing in the way of delivering $500 in extra support to low-income renters between now and Christmas, if they were standing in the way of giving $1,300 in extra access to dental care for families with kids under 12 who need that support. We know that low-income families and middle-income families could greatly benefit from that help. Why are Conservatives not standing up for those families?
The Honourable Member for Haldeman, Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knows that the policies proposed by the Liberals will not reach the majority of Canadian families. Yet Canadians are making immense sacrifices just to get by. People are even rationing food. Amy, a first-time mother in my riding, recently wrote to me in desperation. She was worried about not having the basic necessities to raise and care for her baby. This Prime Minister's obsession with taxes is taking away the ability of average people like Amy to afford basic supplies and keep warm during the winter. When will this Prime Minister stop punishing Canadians and cancel his plan to triple?
Well, Prime Minister.
Our heart goes out to Amy and families like her across the country who are dealing with rising cost of living. But we also know that Amy will now have access to significant savings in childcare for her little one. We know that with our move to get down to $10 a day childcare, to see childcare costs slashed in half across Ontario and indeed across the country will make a huge difference in her ability to afford the other things that are necessary for her family. My question then is, if the Conservatives are so filled with compassion for those families, why are they standing in the way of support for families and even stood in the way of rent of...
L'honorable.
The honourable member for Bailleul-Chambly. In January, the Prime Minister decided to impose emergency measures during the truckers' protest without trying to dialogue and, as we've learned, without anyone having asked him. No one at all. Instead of rectifying a crisis, it led to worsening it. Will he admit, well, it's up to him, that either he was very gauche or did he act for political means? If it's the latter, then good God, which ones? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we invoked the Emergency Measures Act in a responsible way, in a wary way, and in a time-limited way, in a way that fully respected the fundamental rights and freedoms of Canadians. We have done this because the situation required it. I'm very happy that now there is a public inquiry that's happening that will allow all Canadians to see what we saw at the time. This was an illegal occupation. It was a real problem, not only for the residents of Ottawa and throughout the country, but also for our economy and for the well-being of our democracy. We did what we had to do in a responsible way. The honourable member for Bailleul-Chambly. Well, I don't think that's what Canadians will see, but I propose that we replace the oath to the King with an oath to the truth. Because a bit more truth in this chamber would go a long way. The government granted $28 million of contracts to a friend. There's racial discrimination against African students. The government has imposed emergency measures that were not to be imposed. Is the Prime Minister frequently channeling the House towards not necessarily the truth? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. While the Bloc Québécois is talking about oaths and royalty, what our priority is that of Quebecers, is the cost of living. And we will continue to focus ourselves on this with bills to help people to pay their bills. Our bills to put hundreds of dollars back into the pockets of Canadians to allow children the dental care that they need. And we will help families to pay their rent. That is what we will work on for all Quebecers and all Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Un programmeur.
A programmer showed that the ArriveCan app could have been created over a weekend for less than $250,000, but the Prime Minister paid $54 million for it, for an app that didn't work, that forced 10 million people to have issues. Will the Prime Minister provide the list of all companies that received tender contracts to provide this application that didn't even work in the first place? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Despite the little petty politics from the Conservatives on this side of the House, we worked tooth and nail to protect the health and safety of all Canadians throughout the pandemic, including through the ArriveCan app. The amount includes, of course, much more than the developers' fees. It's extra services, the IT services, updates, call centres and future costs. So we will continue to make sure that there's an optimal use of taxpayer money whilst protecting them every single day and every single night.
Well, it's good to know, but no surprise, that the Prime Minister thinks that $54 million is just a petty matter. According to one programmer, demonstrated that the ArriveCan app could have been designed in a single weekend for less than $250,000. Instead, this Prime Minister paid $54 million. 10,000 people were sent by that app wrongly into quarantine when they shouldn't have been. And many of the contracts went to companies that have home addresses as their headquarters. Will the Prime Minister supply Canadians with the full list of all of the contractors who got the money?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well know, since day one of the pandemic, we were focused on providing them the support and the safety necessary in this unprecedented time, despite the political games the Conservatives chose to play throughout the pandemic. Obviously, the amount cited includes far more than just the initial development of the app. It includes services like cloud storage, IT call center services, upgrades, and future costs. On this side of the aisle, we will continue to put the safety and security of Canadians at the center of everything we do in unprecedented pandemics or in regular times, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, creating a $54 million app well over budget that could have been created in a weekend for under $250,000 does not protect anybody's safety, nor does an app that sends 10,000 people wrongly into quarantine. But the strangest thing is that there are these roughly dozen companies that got the contracts to supply this app. The Prime Minister does not want to give all of the names of the subcontractors that got that money. I challenge him now. Will he commit to supply this House with the list of all the subcontractors who got the money, who got rich?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians will remember that during this unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, we had a government that was stepping up to do everything we could to keep them safe, to keep them protected. That's exactly what we stayed.
I'm just going to interrupt for a moment. If I can have your attention. Order. I just want to remind the honourable members the role of the whip, and sometimes if you look to them, they'll be giving you instructions. And I believe some of the whips are kind of going like this. That means calm down. You're welcome, Madam Whip. The Right Honourable Prime Minister, from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians well remembered that when this unprecedented pandemic hit us as a country, we pulled together. We had a government that stepped up to work with other orders of government to deliver all the protections we possibly could for Canadians in an unprecedented time. We were there to have Canadians' backs. While Conservatives were peddling vaccine misinformation and refusing to follow public health directives, we stepped up and made sure that Canadians had all the tools to deliver safety for them. That's what we will continue to do, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
They stepped up to put money in the pockets of their friends. We don't forget the We Charity, Mr. Speaker. But now someone got rich here. Someone designed an app that didn't work, that sent 10,000 people wrongly into quarantine, that had addresses, home addresses, as the headquarters of the companies that received the money. Many of the subcontractors are still secret, and if the Prime Minister will not tell us the identity of those companies, then maybe he can tell us who was the genius. Would the genius who spent that $54 million on an app that could be designed in a weekend please stand up now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our focus throughout this pandemic was being there to support Canadians. And before the member of the opposition criticizes me again for that, we spent billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to support Canadians through this pandemic, with direct income supports, with supports for small businesses. And we did that because we knew that being there for Canadians through an unprecedented, difficult time would ensure that our economy would come back faster after it. That's exactly what happened, Mr. Speaker. We were there for Canadians while Conservatives can criticize us every step of the way.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, the CLC put out a report by Jim Stanford which highlights some serious concerns with the Bank of Canada's approach to inflation. They lay out two mandates the Bank of Canada must follow. One, to keep inflation in check, and two, to encourage maximum employment, sustainable employment. Well, given the fact that the increased interest rates of the Bank of Canada will not address the root causes of inflation, they're going to certainly create a self-induced recession, which will result in massive job losses. Does the Prime Minister agree with the Bank of Canada's approach?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we support the integrity and independence of our institutions. Canada has a long and storied history of strong institutions, from the Supreme Court to the Bank of Canada, that manage, in counterpart with the work that is done in this House, to serve Canadians, and we will continue to defend the integrity and the independence of those institutions, unlike, apparently, multiple parties on the other side of the aisle.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
New Democrats have a rich tradition of calling out institutions which end up exploiting people or hurting people. And it's clear that the government of Canada sets the mandate. Now, this very same Bank of Canada, the governor has stated to employers, discouraging them to increase wages to keep up with inflation, which is ludicrous because there's absolutely no evidence that high wages have in any way contributed to inflation. In fact, wages have not kept up with inflation historically. So does the Prime Minister agree with the Bank of Canada discouraging employers to increase wages to keep up with inflation?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to pause right now and salute and thank all the union leaders across the country who've been strong in fighting for better wages for their workers, working in partnership with this government in an unprecedented way to ensure that we're growing the middle class and helping people working hard to join it. We will continue to make sure that we're working with labor, we're working with bargaining agents, we're working with workers to ensure that they're getting paid well for the work they're doing, that they can support their families and their communities. We will do so in a way that Canadians expect us to.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Speaker, we recently learned the good news that over 2.5 million Canadians have now been lifted out of poverty since 2015. Yet some of my constituents are still concerned about the rising cost of living. What are the latest actions our government is taking to help my constituents and all Canadians make ends meet?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Calgary Skyview for his question and for his hard work. This week, our GST credit top-up received royal assent, meaning Canadians will receive more support this fall as a result. And even as we fight climate change, we're putting more money back into Canadians' pockets. A family of 4 in the members' riding has received over $800 in climate action incentives so far this year. Unlike the Conservative approach of bitcoins and buzzwords, we're talking about real action to make life more affordable for all Canadians.
The member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, something has gone seriously wrong in this country. There's been a 32% increase in violent crime over the past 7 years, and Canadians are feeling the impacts across the country. The fact is, our neighbourhoods are less safe now than they were 7 years ago when the Liberals first formed government. The Prime Minister is failing to act to protect Canadians. Why?
Good question. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I can tell you what will make our communities safer. Moving back on gun control. We have moved forward with strong measures on interdicting assault weapons, on freezing the market on handguns, and these are things, unfortunately, the Conservatives continue to stand against. They want to make assault weapons available again to Canadians. They want to make handgun purchases available once again to Canadians. We are going to continue to stand for stronger gun control, even as we invest in communities, even as we support our police forces, even as we stand forward to create a safer Canada.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, there have been over 124,000 additional violent crimes last year than there were in 2015. The Liberal approach is clearly failing Canadians. Right. Crime is on the rise, and it's Canadian families who pay the price. The Prime Minister and the federal government have the real responsibility to act. The buck stops with them. They can't just stand by and be passive observers. And the time for action is today. When will the Prime Minister take decisive action to protect Canadian decisive action, thank you, members, decisive action to protect Canadian families from violent criminals? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am extremely encouraged to hear Conservatives bringing up questions like this, because it means maybe they're going to actually support us in our strengthening of gun control measures. Maybe they're going to finally stand behind us in our banning of assault weapons that are no longer free to buy, sell, or use anywhere across the country. We're moving forward on a freeze on purchase of handguns across the country. If the Conservative Party is deciding to support that, that's good news for communities across the country. We're going to continue to stand with families. We're going to continue to stand against domestic violence. We're going to continue to be there for communities that need support in the face of rising violence.
The honourable member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, at the Ethics Committee, the Liberals tried their darndest to protect the winner of the untendered contract for premises near La Colle, but the Prime Minister is refusing to disclose the amount, the secret amount, and the identity of the owner of the property right at the entrance to Roxham Road. Can the Prime Minister tell us who owns the property at Roxham Road and the value of the contract? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we all know how important our immigration system is to Canadians. It's a fair system that's solid, and it supports the growth of our economy and our communities. It's important that we keep a close eye on that system to ensure that our shared values as Canadians are supported while we welcome asylum claimants. We will always do this properly. We will always ensure the rules are followed, and we will always be there to ensure that the way we receive people fleeing violence and other problems in the world are treated in accordance with our values. The honourable member. The Prime Minister is not answering my question at all. That had nothing to do. My question had nothing to do with refugee claimants. It had to do with contracting. We know about the contract with Mr. Gay in La Colle, but a fair piece away from there's Roxham Road, and we don't know how much the government is paying somebody for that land, using that land. Can the Prime Minister tell us who is the owner of that land and how much the Government of Canada is paying for that tiny piece of land? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. All members know that contracts having to do with Roxham Road were granted by officials in accordance with all the rules and principles that have been established. The contracts are always done in accordance with the rules, and we'll always make sure of that. The honourable member for Avignon, Lamitis, Matane-Matapédia. Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister announced that Canada will accelerate energy projects to export more oil and gas to Europe. The Liberals are using the war in Ukraine as an excuse to produce and sell even more fossil fuels in the middle of a climate crisis. Talk about champions of the environment. I have a quiz for the Prime Minister, who said last week the war in Ukraine shows that if Canada doesn't produce natural gas, the market will be monopolized by polluting dictatorships like Putin's. Was it the Deputy Prime Minister in Washington or the Conservative leader in La Pocatière? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia has changed things for a lot of people in Europe. They need energy for this winter and for the winters to come. So yes, Canada is there to help alleviate this world energy crisis caused by Russia, but we're also standing with our European partners to accelerate the transition to renewable energies. That's why we've invested so heavily in the transition, the green transition here in Canada, and that's why we're supporting people who are developing technologies to capture carbon, because we're heading for a carbon-neutral world. The honourable member for Repentigny. The correct answer is the Conservative leader in La Pocatière. But I understand the Prime Minister's confusion because the Deputy Prime Minister said exactly the same thing in Washington. The Liberals and the Conservatives are on the same page. The Deputy Prime Minister even said that Canada will have to sacrifice some political capital at home in order to accelerate energy projects. In other words, who cares about what Canadians think, about what Indigenous people think? Who cares about climate change? Canada has gas to sell. Does the Prime Minister find it embarrassing that his new policy is exactly the same as the Conservative leaders? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we have shown for the past 7 years that we understand full well that the economy and the environment have to go hand in hand. That's why we're investing unprecedented amounts in the energy transition. That's why we're helping decarbonize our energy sources. And that is why we're putting a price on pollution all across the country to ensure that industries and companies make the necessary investments for us to reach our 2030 targets and carbon neutrality by 2050. We are going to continue to lead on the environment because it's good for the economy.
Mr. Speaker, we haven't seen grocery prices rise like this in the last 40 years. Last week, many Canadians struggle to afford Thanksgiving dinner with their families, all because of this Prime Minister's inflation crisis. Next week is Bandi Chhor Divas and Diwali. Can the Prime Minister please tell Canadians how much more it will take to celebrate the Festival of Lights under his homegrown inflation crisis?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I've heard it across the country in farms and grocery stores and community centres from one end of the country to the other. People are facing challenges with the rising cost of living, which is why we're delivering a doubling of the GST credit for the next 6 months this fall, and why we're pleased that Conservatives MPs were able to convince their leader to reverse his initial objection to that proposal to support it. Now I would ask members of the Conservative caucus to convince their leader to support dental for Canadians with kids under 12, to support supports for rental for low-income Canadians.
The honourable member for Edmonton Mill Woods.
Mr. Speaker, what he's not telling you is that the vast majority of Canadians won't even qualify for those programs, and it will just make the situation worse. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that many Canadians are actually worried about heating their homes this winter, and too many Canadians are relying on the food bank to support their family, a decision that no Canadian family should have to make. The last thing that Canadians need is for this Prime Minister to triple the carbon tax, making everything more expensive. Will this Prime Minister commit to stop and cancel his planned tax hikes on Canadians?
Yes. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Here we have it, Mr. Speaker. The Conservative Party just admitted that they're not supporting our cost of living relief measures because they're afraid it'll make things worse. Mr. Speaker, Canadians don't need excuses from Conservatives. They need Conservatives to step up and support, direct support, support for low-income renters with an extra $500 on top of the Canada Housing Benefit to be delivered to them, with support for families that can't afford to send their kids to the dentist. These are things that will touch millions of Canadians. Why aren't the Conservatives there to support them? The Canadians don't want excuses. They want support.
The honourable member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins, Lévis. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. As many of my colleagues have already mentioned, the food prices have shot up 11.4% over last year, the sharpest increase since 1981. People are struggling to house, clothe, heat, and feed themselves. With Christmas coming, you've got to ask yourself, what kind of a holiday season are Canadians in for? But instead of helping them out, the Prime Minister's relentlessly going after an even bigger chunk of their paychecks. Will he now promise not to go ahead with the January 1st tax hikes? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, If the Conservative Party is truly concerned about the cost of living for Canadians, they should be supporting our measures to support Canadians who are struggling the most, low-income renters who need a bit more help to pay their rent this fall, or families with children under 12 who can't afford dental care for their kids. I know it's not the solution that's going to change everything, but these are concrete measures that will help Canadians have a bit more this Christmas. Why are the Conservatives refusing to help the families who are the most in need? The Honourable Member for Dorval-Lachine-LaSalle. Mr. Speaker, since day one, our government has been there to support small businesses all across Canada. They are the heart of our communities and the drivers of our economy. That's why we all need to stand together to give small business owners what they need to succeed. Can the Prime Minister remind Canadians how our government has supported small businesses? Thank you very much. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I'd like to thank the member for Dorval-Lachine-LaSalle for her question and her hard work. Canadians can see for themselves who is truly defending the interests of small business. When we extended programs to assist small businesses, growing businesses, the Conservatives voted against it. When we helped 1,400 small businesses in Ottawa get back on their feet after the convoy's occupation, the Leader of the Opposition said he was proud of the occupiers. While the Conservatives continue to deny small business owners the support they need, we are going to keep on defending them all across the country.
Mr. Speaker, the cost of home heating just keeps going up in Atlantic Canada. Half of Atlantic Canadians are living in energy poverty. The cost of home heating oil jumped 30% in the last month in New Brunswick. Half of Atlantic Canadians heat with oil, and they're facing a cold, bitter winter because of this Liberal government. Today's numbers confirm Liberal inflation is up again for groceries and housing back home. With the affordability crisis devastating Atlantic families, why are the Liberals planning to triple taxes on home heating?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Again, we are all in this House concerned about the rising cost of living faced by Canadians in Atlantic Canada and indeed across the country. So the question I think we all have is, why aren't Conservative politicians supporting our cost of living relief measures? Why are they not stepping up to send checks to the lowest income renters that'll support close to 2 million Canadians who are going to have trouble paying rent this winter? Why are they not sending support to families who can't send their kids under 12 to the dentist? We're talking about $1,300 that are going to help families over the next couple of years, and yet the Conservatives say they care and don't stand up for them.
Member for Hastings, Lennox and Addington.
This morning, media reports indicated that food prices are skyrocketing 11.4% this month, the largest increase in 41 years. Everything is broken, and this government's carbon tax makes the already unbearable even worse. Mr. Speaker, instead of Liberals driving up prices and sending Canadians deeper in debt, we need less talk and more decisive action from this government now. Mr. Speaker, when will this Prime Minister cancel his plan to triple taxes on gas, groceries, and home heating?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
As the member's opposite well know, our price on carbon pollution returns more family to most Canadian families in the areas in which it's imposed. The reality is we are stepping up to support Canadian families across the country, including with our cost of living relief package. The question that many Canadians have is, why aren't Conservative politicians there to support our measures to deliver help to low-income renters, for help to families who can't afford to send their kids to the dentist? These are things that matter to Canadians, and yet the Conservatives are standing in the way.
Honourable Member for Moose Jaw Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, this upcoming Remembrance Day, veterans across Canada are being thanked for their service by being charged GST on top of a carbon tax on their heating bills. A tax on a tax on a tax. Heating a home during winter is a necessity. Mr. Speaker, Why won't this Prime Minister cancel his plans to triple his tax on home heating and axe his tax on tax?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, despite Conservative misinformation, the reality is, with our price on carbon pollution, more money is returned to 80% of families in the areas in which it's imposed than they pay in these taxes. That is a fact that Conservatives have been avoided. So as the carbon price increases to give predictability signals to businesses to continue to invest in reducing their emissions, Canadians keep getting more money back. We are going to continue to deliver for Canadians. We're going to continue to stand up to support Canadians who need it.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton Mountain.
This government is committed to the collective bargaining process to protect workers' rights, pay, and power. One of the first things we did after we formed government was to repeal the Conservative anti-worker legislation that made it harder for unions to fight for workers. Legislation the Leader of the Opposition supported. Hamilton Labour leaders tell me they were relieved and grateful that our government took this swift action. Can the Prime Minister update the House on what our government is doing to eliminate the use of replacement workers during strikes and lockouts so the workers have more power and fairness at the negotiating table?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Hamilton Mountain for her hard work and her constant advocacy for workers. As a cabinet minister in the Harper years, the Conservative leader actively supported anti-union legislations like 525 and 377, and he's still attacking supports for workers today. Today, our government launched consultations on eliminating the use of replacement workers during strikes and lockouts. This government will always be on the side of workers, while the Conservative leader gatekeeps Canadians out of safer, good-paying jobs.
The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
When I visited Kugaruk, I was told the consequences the housing boards face when they say no to an applicant. One decision resulted in turning away a young pregnant woman because there were no houses available. In hopelessness, she completed suicide. The housing board suffers this decision while this government continues to fall short on meeting the housing needs in Nunavut. When will this government finally take on the burden that Nunavut face every day and act on the housing crisis to save lives?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our hearts break at hearing stories like that. Obviously, it is unacceptable. That is why we are continuing to step up, including in working direct partnership with Premier Achiagok to ensure that we're delivering housing investments in the North. We know that the needs are great, and we know we need to continue to step up. We have strong programs, big investments that are going in, but we need to do more. We recognize that. We will be there.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday MPs from all parties unanimously voted to move the Canada Disability Benefit Act to committee, following the calls of disability advocates across the country. While this is an important milestone, nothing changes for Canadians with disabilities until the benefit is actually funded.
That's right.
People with disabilities living in poverty desperately need us to get this done. Will the Prime Minister commit today to funding this benefit by budget 2023?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we know that Canadians living with disabilities face unacceptably high levels of poverty. We know how much important work there is to continue to do. That's why we've moved forward over the past number of years with historic steps in the right direction. But, Mr. Speaker, we agree entirely. There is much more to do. That's why we're pursuing these important measures. We're moving forward with these legislations, and we are going to continue to be there to ensure that we are supporting Canadians living with disabilities so they can fully participate in all the ways all of us need them to be able to do if we're going to be the country we want to be.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for questions today. I understand that there have been discussions among representatives of all parties in the House, and that there is an agreement to observe a moment of silence in honor of the fallen RCMP officer, Shaylin Yang, in Burnaby, British Columbia.